Tonight, volunteer firefighters across the province step up to battle wildfires in the north. A talented Saskatoon MMA fighter heads to the States to make a name for himself. And a look at who's in and who's out for Saturday's Rider game.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, July 17th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. As one of Saskatchewan's most intense wildfire seasons rolls on, local firefighters from across the province are flocking to northern communities to help defend homes and lives. And as Chris Edwards reports, they are also showcasing community spirit.
A wall of fire rages on the edge of Beauval earlier this week, on the verge of engulfing the small northern community. It was held off by a coalition of volunteer firefighters from across the province, an effort that fills the mayor of Beauval with pride.
To save our structures in that, when we needed them, that firewall was right in our community, came through the sports grounds. These guys suited up and fought the fire on the west end and the south end of the community.
For weeks, volunteer fire crews have been flocking to the northern community, answering the call from the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency to help defend homes and businesses. It's an effort that the chief of the Humboldt Fire Department says displays the selflessness of the province's volunteer firefighters.
It's what we do in Saskatchewan. If your neighbor needs help, regardless of if they're an hour away or if they're 5 hours away, we want to step up and do our part to help out. So I know that there's been a number of departments in the province that have stepped up and sent firefighters or apparatus.
Fire chiefs say this year's wildfires are the worst they've seen in years, requiring a province-wide call-out for crews and equipment. According to the SPSA, more than 370 wildfires have struck the province this year, more than 30% higher than the 5-year average. It's a situation that Warman's fire chief calls unprecedented.
I don't know of any department that wasn't contacted or didn't reach out to try to help with these fires. Unprecedented level of fire. I've been doing this for 32 years, and the amount of fires this year is probably the highest amount and the longest duration of a fire season.
The weeks of deployment are beginning to wear on the firefighters, but extra help has now been brought in. 40 firefighters from Australia are now in Beauval to lend a hand. And another 40 firefighters from Mexico will be arriving later this week. Chris Edwards, CBC News, Regina.
And this wildfire season, of course, has resulted in the loss of many homes, cabins, and other personal property. And for residents, that means making an insurance claim. Many insurance companies have been flooded with claims with a limited amount of adjusters. A vice president with the Insurance Bureau of Canada says the industry can bounce back from this, but that's not their only worry.
The bigger concern is making sure that our customers are prepared and that the people that need insurance can still get it. And that the insurance coverages are what people need, that we don't see protection gaps emerge in parts of the country. And those are the issues that are concerning the industry right now.
SGI says it's received upwards of 700 wildfire-related claims so far this year. That involves evacuations, total losses, and smoke damage. And its auto fund has received over 300 claims, with most being a total loss. And those who lost property in Denair Beach now have an extra way to get help with things like insurance and housing. A community resilience center has opened at the Denairplex to assist with recovery. It will also provide access to programs, updates, and supports for things like financial aid and counseling. The province, local leaders, and the Provincial Recovery Task Team will collaborate to deliver the services. The centre will be open Friday from 9 a.m. to noon, and the plan is to have it open 2 times a week over the coming weeks. The provincial NDP is sounding the alarm over drought conditions its members witnessed firsthand in southwest Saskatchewan this week. Some areas in that part of the province have gone nearly a decade without substantial rain. Several rural municipalities declared states of emergency in June as a result. The opposition says everything there looks as if it's burnt. Crops are wilting and water is non-existent. They say the provincial government has been missing in action for over a month to provide relief.
Business risk management programs like crop insurance that are there, supposed to be there to support producers, simply don't support a situation where there's a 9-year severe drought like this. And these producers are left in a horrible situation, suffering losses and making very difficult choices about their farms and their livestock, and they need our support.
The NDP is also calling on the provincial government to create a similar risk management program for livestock producers as a matter of equity and fairness. A Saskatoon teenager charged with setting one of her classmates on fire will stand trial by judge alone. The 15-year-old girl, who cannot be named, is charged with attempted murder and assault causing bodily harm. She's accused of pouring a flammable liquid on another girl and lighting her on fire. The incident happened at Evan Hardy Collegiate in Saskatoon during the first week of school last year. A teacher was also injured when he tried to put out the fire. The teen pleaded not guilty to the charges back in February. She had previously chosen a jury trial at Court of King's Bench, but changed her mind earlier this week. A date for the trial has not yet been set because the teen's lawyer is waiting for the results of an unspecified assessment. Premier Scott Moe says the best way to break down trade barriers between provinces already exists, and the simplest thing for other premiers to do is to take advantage of it. The New West Partnership Trade Agreement came into effect 15 years ago. It reconciles rules affecting trade, investment, and labor mobility between Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia. And at a news conference Thursday in Saskatoon, Moe invited the rest of his counterparts to join it.
Our New West Partnership, it was the right thing to do in 2010. It was the right thing to do in 2017 in bringing on Manitoba, and it would be the right thing to do for us to expand this partnership across Canada today.
Moe says free and fair trade among the provinces will help strengthen the country in the face of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff war. He hopes other provinces will consider joining sooner rather than later. Saskatchewan has a new Information and Privacy Commissioner. Grace Hession-David has taken over the role from Ron Kruzaniski, who retired in April. Her office is responsible for protecting your privacy and monitoring the law around government disclosure. And she shared with us her approach to the new role.
I have always loved the law, and I always wanted to be a lawyer. I was fascinated as a young child by the Watergate hearings and by the fact that a judge could subpoena the President of the United States and say, hand over the information. So, and that's very important to me. It's very important to me because government is fundamental. It's crucial. We live in a democracy. But government needs checks. And that's the role of this office. The traditional model of people saying to the government, I want to know what you have on me, for sure, that's always going to be there. We always are going to deal with that. But as we go into these new eras of technology, this is something that everybody has to be concerned about and everybody has to understand. I just really want to speak to the people of Saskatchewan, and I hope they know that we welcome their inquiries and we welcome them, and we do whatever we can for them, and we also want to get it right. We want to get it right according to the legislation and to the courts.
A Manitoba woman has filed a proposed class action lawsuit against Loblaw. Iris Griffin says she was overcharged for meat at the grocery store as early as 2023. Earlier this year, she spoke to CBC about finding the package of ground beef she'd bought being 134 grams short of the weight listed on its label. She realized its plastic tray accounted for the missing weight. Her proposed class action was filed last week in Manitoba. It alleges Loblaw continues charging customers for packaging by adding it to the price of the meat, despite complaints to the company and the Food Inspection Agency. She hopes this class action leads to more government oversight. A monumental change could be coming for voters in the UK. The government has announced plans to lower the voting age from 18 to 16 for all elections.
I think it's really important to give the younger generation an opinion and a vote on a lot of the issues that are facing the UK.
I think it's a great opportunity for us to sort of have more of a say in our future. because at the end of the day, we decide who we vote in, and then this can then affect sort of decisions that affect us, whether it be healthcare, education, and ultimately jobs in the end.
The election reform bill still needs parliamentary approval, and if it passes, the new voting age would make it for a more consistent system. 16 and 17-year-olds in Scotland and Wales can already vote in local elections. Well, you're never too young to learn a new skill, and for these girls in Saskatoon, that skill includes using power tools. They are part of the Girls Exploring Trades and Technology Camp at Sask Polytech. The camp provides girls between 12 and 15 years old a safe and supportive environment to use the tools they'll need for a career in the trades. The camp runs until Friday, and there are additional camps in Regina and Prince Albert in the coming weeks. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Prime Minister Mark Carney held a pivotal summit with several First Nations leaders in Gatineau, Quebec. He promised to listen to their concerns about federal government legislation to fast-track infrastructure projects. And as Olivia Stefanovich reports, it was also a major test of Carney's ability to work with First Nations.
Please help me welcome the Prime Minister.
Facing a skeptical crowd, Prime Minister Mark Carney made his pitch.
This is the first federal legislation to put Indigenous economic growth at its core.
As he tried to earn the support of First Nations leaders for a new law that speeds up the approval of major projects.
We fully recognize there's many diverse perspectives, which is exactly why we've assembled this group.
Outside the summit, concerns laid out loud and clear.
I need you guys to just go back there, and then you can do whatever you want there.
Let us in.
As opponents tried to confront Carney.
You guys took our land and you stole it. Now you want to put mining sites where our last land is. Our land is the most untouched land in Canada.
I'm walking out. I mean, this whole thing has just been a complete disaster.
Back inside, some left the meeting early.
They want to do billion-dollar projects, sidestepping all type of regulations, and they can't even get a two-day event done properly. Leaves a lot to question at the end of the day.
That's not a good start. I think there has to be a reset, and there has to be a process set in place.
Others stayed, hoping for a resolution.
Prime Minister Carney has to dial it back, and he has to be able to say, okay, pushing a bill wasn't the greatest idea.
We were absolutely clear what we intended to do. Canadians backed that.
That acknowledgement didn't come, but Carney did promise to never override First Nations rights.
He took the time out to meet with all the chiefs. It's got to be it's a tough crowd.
And Carney's plan has First Nations supporters eager to pitch energy and infrastructure projects.
If we're able to expedite those economic initiatives to see them come to fruition in a timely manner, it'll benefit the economics of the nation. Then that alleviates the social problems like housing, education, health, and other areas.
Carney says he won't make any changes to the law, but that the summit is just the start of working with First Nations. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, another relatively quiet July day for many of us across the province, although some storms have been bubbling up in parts of southwestern Saskatchewan. A little on the cool side, making it feel like maybe even late August or early September even in some places. Riley Lechuk is here now for a look at our forecast. Hi, Riley.
Well, thanks, Ethan. Another day where we've seen temperatures sitting below seasonal for this time of the year. I just wanted to take you big picture first off to show you the extent of this trough that has formed in the jet stream. So 23 in Bismarck, for example, 22 in Regina this afternoon. You have to go way into the deep south to get any real heat into parts of Arizona and up the eastern seaboard, where we're looking at 33 and 34 degree temperatures. Closer to home, as I said, 21, 22 degrees across much of southern Saskatchewan throughout the afternoon hours. Saskatoon, 24 degrees through the afternoon, and still low 20s across much of the north as well. This is the region where we do have still an air quality warning in place. This is, of course, where we have wildfires burning in the province. And again, I don't have any real measurable precipitation in the forecast that will help put a dent in that. although the cooler than seasonal temperatures do help when it's not scorching hot and humid out there. So just know that air quality concerns persist for places like Prince Albert into La Ronge. We're also looking at the potential for some severe weather even in extreme southern parts of the province into the southwest, where we have seen some thunderstorms popping up through the afternoon. Again, a region of the province that desperately needs some rain, and we are getting some in the form of some downpours even in some cases. So keep that in mind as we head into the overnight hours. The rest of the province under a partly cloudy sky as we head into the morning hours on Friday. We start under a mix of sun and clouds even as we head into Friday morning, a few passing clouds here and there. And that's the story of Friday, really, mainly sunny sky. We do start to build some cloud cover back in as we get into the day on Saturday. Another weak disturbance starts to push in, and this could give us a fairly good chance of seeing some showers or some thunderstorms even as we get into the afternoon for southern parts of the province. I do have a fairly good chance of seeing some wet weather into Regina through the later afternoon, so just know if you have any outdoor plans through the afternoon into the evening hours on Saturday that we could be running into some wet weather. And we do start to see some of that pushing a little bit further north. Again, not really all that measurable, but certainly some rain. We'll take what we can get at this point. Behind that area of high pressure that I was talking about yesterday, we do start to see the wind shifting back around to a more northerly flow again, and that could push some haze as we get into Friday into parts of southern Saskatchewan again. So just keep that in mind that we could see some hazy conditions persisting as we get into the next 24 hours here. Some of those statements, some of those warnings will certainly be coming and going, I think, once again as we get into the weekend here and we start to see the winds picking up once again. So temperatures, here's a bit of a snapshot as we get into the afternoon hours on Friday, a bit closer to seasonal, still lagging behind the seasonal mark for this time of the year. Regina at 23 in the afternoon, 24 through Saskatoon, North Battleford and La Ronge, and a little bit closer to even 30 degrees, Ethan, into parts of the north.
All right. Thank you very much, Riley. Well, he goes by the nickname Big Game, and Saskatoon mixed martial arts fighter Hunter Lee is hoping to bring his A game to the cage in Florida this week. He's headed there to make a name for himself in the MMA world and hopes to one day head to the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Jeremy Warren has his story.
They call him Big Game Hunter Lee. He's one of the best mixed martial arts fighters in Saskatchewan, and this light heavyweight Hunter is gunning for the UFC. But to get there, he's got to fight his way up the smaller promotions, something he says is more challenging when his scheduled opponents have a habit of dropping out.
So I've had like 3 or 4 of those where guys like sign to fight me, go through the whole fight camp, and then like they won't get on the plane to come and fight, or they cancel with like an injury a week before or whatever.
Lee has won all 3 of his professional fights. He says he thinks American fighters sign up with a mistaken belief that they're taking on an inexperienced Canadian, but they back out when they learn he's a decorated wrestler. He won a handful of gold medals wrestling for the University of Saskatchewan Huskies, and now he's taking his undefeated MMA record to Tampa Bay, Florida for his next fight.
As far as his opponent goes, I don't think he has much to offer Hunter. We're not usually too surprised when Hunter comes into the ring and does really well, just because we feel him in the gym. He kind of beats on all of us, so when he does it in the ring, we're like not really surprised, but super proud of the guy, and he's got crazy work ethic. So yeah, we're excited for this matchup.
Lee is from Flin Flon, Manitoba, but calls Saskatoon home. Watching Canadian UFC champion George St. Pierre defend a title belt inspired him to train. Fighting in the UFC is Lee's ultimate goal.
I'm ready right now, so I think 2 more fights, I'm looking at being 5-0 and beating a lot of tough competition. And if I can get a regional promotion belt on UFC Fight Pass, I think that'll show that I'm ready to be in the UFC.
Lee's next bout is Friday night with promoter Cage Fury Fighting Championships. It streams on UFC Fight Pass. He hopes his first match in the States is just a quick stop on his way to the big show, the UFC. Jeremy Warren, CBC News, Saskatoon.
You're looking at an auction item simply out of this world, the largest Martian rock ever found on Earth. It has just sold at auction at Sotheby's in New York for the equivalent of 5.9 million Canadian dollars. The meteorite was found in Niger in 2023. Stay with us. We have more news and a final look at the forecast after the break. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have put the finishing touches on their practice before they face the BC Lions this weekend, but they'll have a few gaps to fill because of injuries. And one of those gaps is likely to be return specialist Mario Alford. He's out with a hip injury and has not been practicing this week. Alford has been undergoing some tests in the last couple of days here to evaluate the extent of his injury, and head coach Corey Mace says if he does not play, the team will feel the loss.
I mean, that's Super Mario, man. That's a tough one to lose. Certainly, he's been playing out of his mind, I thought, to this point in the season. That sucks, but ultimately it sucks for him. But in saying the same thing, you know, we all have confidence in Dre to be able to go out there and execute and make plays, and he showed to be really dangerous in the preseason. So, you know, now he's got the guys in front of him blocking for him who've been doing it, you know, for the full season, and we'll just see what that looks like.
And Mace, by the way, is referring there to wide receiver Dre McCray, the 22-year-old graduate of Texas Tech. Will get the chance to replace Alford if he is a no-go. Meanwhile, Mace expects fellow receiver Sam Emelis to be back in the mix this week. He was nursing a foot injury but was back practicing. Game time in Vancouver on Saturday is at 5 o'clock.
All right, looking at your forecast as we head into the weekend here, temperatures still staying below seasonal for this time of the year. So for Regina, closer to that seasonal mark as we get through the afternoon hours, 23, 24 degrees as we head into Friday and Saturday, give or take a couple of degrees on that, but still a little bit below seasonal for this time of the year. Good chance we'll see some showers, some thunderstorms rolling through as we head Saturday into Sunday that persists. We'll get a bit of clearing, though, I think, as we head into the day on Monday. So not a total washout, but certainly just keep an eye on the skies as we head through the weekend. And temperatures remaining below seasonal for much of next week, even some showers through Tuesday and Wednesday of next week for southern parts of the province. Into Saskatoon, 26 degrees, pretty good for the high tomorrow afternoon, on seasonal for this time of the year. Risk of thunderstorms as we head Saturday into Sunday, remaining below seasonal, Ethan, to start next week. And then we get a bit of warmth back as we head into Wednesday and Thursday at 27 degrees.
Yeah, the cooler temperatures have been not so bad, but I know a lot of people looking forward to that warm-up coming up. Thanks so much, Riley. And that is it for us. For more news anytime, of course, you can always head to our website. That is cbc.ca/sask, or you can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. And of course, you can also always download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching.